Hey, by the way, tonight's game, New York wins that outright.
You know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports podcast for Etoft21sports podcast, Etoft21sports Show for July 8th. How's everyone doing? My name is Erik. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. Absolutely loaded episode for you today. My boy Bryce from the I Need It Sports Pod is this week's special guest. Him and I are going to give the AFC West betting preview. It is that time of year. We're diving into NFL, talking division by division, starting off with the West. Bryce is going to come on, so we're going to preview that. Also, Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day. But before all that, I feel I need to let everyone know I have joined it. I am going to be part of MyBookie. Make sure to go to mybookie.ag. If you're watching, there's a link in my bio on YouTube. Click that, join it. Guys, I'm telling you, offshore, peer-to-peer, totally the future of sports betting. If you're not doing it, you are completely missing out. Speaking of peer-to-peer, go to ProphetX, download the app, use promo code ETOFT21. But enough about all that. Let's jump into the horse racing bet of the day with Gino from DRF.com.
This week, we're going to head over to Saratoga, Saturday, July the 12th. We're going to be looking at race number 8. This one's the Grade 2 Bowling Green. Remember, all you have to do is head to DRF.com. Shop.drf.com is the place where you want to purchase the past performances and anything you need for playing the races.
That was freaky as hell, and I have no idea what was going on with that video from Gino. So, yeah, I will make sure to tweet out what Gino's horse racing bet of the day is. Now, let's shift our attention over to some sports betting, and we're going to talk a little AFC West, and let's welcome my boy from Houston, Bryce from the I Need It Sports Pod. Bryce, what's up today, my friend? We're muted, my friend.
Oh man, I'm on mute. But hey, what's up, man? Glad to come on, chop it up about the AFC West. Excited for football season to start back up.
So I have a question. I have a question for you. You're down in Houston. I'm up in Chicago. This past week, it's been humid as fuck, 90 degrees. I've been sweating my ass off. Tonight it's 70. I am freezing my ass off. I legitimately have a sweatshirt on in my house. I'm so goddamn cold. I mean, is that what it's like there, man? Like, I don't know how you live down there, dude.
Man, it is so hot down here. I can literally walk out to my car to grab something, and I'll be drenched in sweat by the time I make it back to the door. That's how hot it is. Everything essentially now for the weather right now, I have to wear cut off sleeve shirts and stuff. Like, I'll give you even an example. I work out in the plant. Last week, I had to climb up like 14 flights of stairs on our furnace towers. When I got back in the building after that hour of being out there, I literally could wring my shirt out with sweat.
Oh, it's brutal. Like,
It's brutal.
I'm outside for work too, and it sucks, dude. Like, I'll come back, I'll be sweating, I'll be grumpy. I mean, and today was like heaven. Today was like in the 70s. I was literally outside in sweats today, and everyone was looking at me like I was a psychopath. Like, because I can't handle. It's just weird. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk a little AFC West. What we're gonna do is we are gonna go team by team. We're gonna share any future bets we have. I have bets on every team. I was able to find 1 to 2 bets on every single team that is in this division, luckily. So interested to see where your head's at. So we're going to talk about the Raiders first. Raiders are 120 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, 50 to 1 to win the AFC, 16 to 1 to win the AFC West, over under 6.5 to make the playoffs, plus 350 to miss the playoffs, minus 400. Bryce, tell me where your head is with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, I'm not mad at the moves they made. I was a bit confused because they went and hired a 70-year-old coach, Pete Carroll, out of retirement. Essentially, was out last year. And then they went and signed Geno Smith, a quarterback, which is cool. But given the fact, they've kind of been a dumpster fire the last few years, I don't know what exactly the plan is. Like, do you just want to be competitive, I guess? Maybe that's your goal. But then it's like, well, I would assume you want some type of backup rookie quarterback that's getting kind of groomed by Geno Smith, who will eventually take over, be the franchise. Pete Carroll, like I said, I'm not trying to put a limit on anybody's, work life, but he is in his mid-70s now. I don't know how long he's going to be coaching for, how much longer he would like to coach for. But that seems like not a move made for the future. So, like, what kind of stability are they trying to build towards? They had a great draft. They had a great offseason. I think every move they made was really good. I'm just confused as to what is the future plan, because they're not Super Bowl contenders this year. Maybe a dark horse playoff contender, the worst to first. There's always one of those randomly every year. I don't see them in that spot with how loaded the rest of the division is. But, I mean, you draft Ashton Genty. They rebolster some of the offensive line. The offensive line was also coming on at the end of last year. Defensive line should be back healthy this year. I know they only got like 4 or 5 games of Christian Wilkins last year, but pair him with Crosby and Kuntz. Secondary is a bit They lost a lot of people, got in a lot of people. So that's going to be probably their worst spot. But, I mean, I think what's their win total set at? 7.5 maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
I see them maybe getting 7.
6.5.
6.5. Okay, I can see them potentially getting 7. I think they'll be really competitive. I think Pete Carroll runs a nice organization, but at the end of the day, to make all these moves, go from 4-13 last year to maybe 7-10, 6-11 this year, and you still have no succession plan for the future to be truly competitive, that's where I'm just a bit confused on the moves they're making.
I feel they got screwed up in the draft because I don't think they expected Penix to go where he went. Like 2 years ago, sitting back, how Penix went to the Falcons. I think they expected Penix to be there when they drafted, and he wasn't. And because of that, they just took it. They took Bowers. I really think that was the thing. They enter a brand new chapter. But like you said, let's not confuse change with progress just yet. Pete Carroll takes over. You mentioned it, dude. 74 years old.
Yeah.
74, bringing in Chip Kelly to run the offense. It's an odd marriage, but if it works, it will be because they lean on the run game and simplify things for Gino. Patrick Graham stays as a DC. I expect fast tempo because of Chip Kelly, and this defense with Graham is awful. So I think we can see a lot of shootouts and overs, especially early on this season before the sportsbook adjusts. I'm a big Pythagorean win total guy. They were plus 1.95. Strong sign of positive regression. Offense 29th in points per game. Bottom tier in yards per play, success rate, and EPA. They get the 18th hardest schedule this season. They have some winnable games at home. Also for the season win total, they play Kansas City at home to close the season. If KC is resting players, that could be a key game that gets them over the 6.5 total. Geno Smith is in Vegas now in more of a structured offense. Should be better. Last season, he was a weird season. 70% completion, 20 TDs, 15 INTs, weird line, but way better than what the Raiders had. Still, he doesn't take many deep shots, has a career-long trend of ignoring tight ends, bottom 3 in tight end target rate amongst starters. Offensive line, quietly strong. Colton Miller anchors a mostly intact line, started all 17. Jackson Powers-Johnson, second year, steps in as center. Parham slides over to left guard. Kappa brings in some veteran leadership. This unit is elite. isn't elite, excuse me, but is cohesive and improving Carroll's system could maximize him. Now, you mentioned the draft. What's your thought on Gentry real quick?
I mean, I think he's gonna be pretty good. I mean, it's very tough to say because for some years there, it was kind of like something that was the rule you did not do. You don't take a running back top 10. Then obviously the last few years we've seen Atlanta take Bijan, we've seen Detroit take Jameer, and it's panned out. And then obviously you kind of seen the return of the running back the last 2 years, and Christian McCaffrey, offensive player of the year this past year, Saquon. So I'm not mad at it. But like I said, if you're truly got to build from the ground up, which the Raiders have to do, maybe Ashton Gentry was a bit. I'm not saying he won't pan out. I'm not saying he's gonna be good, but for the duration of his rookie contract, it's gonna be an uphill battle for them. Like it's not like you're about to maximize his rookie contract, and then once that's up, then what do you do? Because you're gonna have to pay a quarterback eventually. You're gonna need offensive line, like I said. So it's just, I just don't know necessarily where they're headed. The only I guess maybe bright spot, maybe this is what they are thinking. They got Chip Kelly as OC. Maybe he's, they want to form that system and then he'll move the head coach once Pete Carroll's gone. I don't know if that's how they view it. But I mean, again, I'm not the high. I don't think anybody would be the highest on Chip Kelly as a head coach. We've seen that before. And that was 10 years ago. So the game changes. It's not the same. So I'm not mad at the pick. I think the dude is a stud. I just don't think that was the right pick for them. So, but like you said, it's a good point. Last year, they probably really did get screwed up in the draft when they thought they were going to be able to get Penix. Atlanta swoops in. They're kind of forced to take Brock Bowers, and it kind of put them in free fall, and they don't know where they're necessarily going. So,
I think Gentry, this is my favorite part of the offense, honestly. More polished, fundamentally sound than people realized. You mentioned it. Great fit in the Chip Kelly offense. Carroll wants to run the ball. I think he touches the ball 300 times. I think my bold take is this. I think he could lead them in targets and receptions actually also as well. Oh, wow. I think he could be if I have a top 5 fantasy pick, I am taking him. Now, he's in the rookie of the year conversation. I have a player later on we'll get to that I am betting to win rookie of the year. I'm not betting Gentry because of the odds, but he's obviously the favorite and I see it. Now, I'm going to fade Brock Bowers. Here's the issue. Geno Smith, as I mentioned, bottom 3 target share throwing to tight ends. Carroll's offense doesn't feature the tight ends. Chip Kelly's offense rarely uses the position either. Last year, the Raiders were 4th in pass attempts, but, we've talked about it. They're going to be shifting to a run-heavy identity. Now, if I just said that Gentry is going to touch the ball 300 times, it's directly going to eat in Bowers' opportunities. So with all that being said, I am betting Brock Bowers under 1,500 yards receiving. Defense, 1 star, no help. Crosby's a beast, but that's it. Defensive line is solid. You mentioned it, but they had some injuries up front. Secondary is weak, lacks talent. They had some rookies in the draft. I like Porter, but I'm expecting some growing pains. Pressure rate and splash plays were bottom tier, even with Crosby playing. Bottom line, I love Carroll next year. I'm not betting Vegas to break through this year. Gino, actually, I think will stabilize things, but the talent is thin, especially on defense. They'll be better, not good. I kind of feel like 5 or 6 wins is their ceiling, though. You know what I mean? I think that is kind of where they are. I actually kind of went through their schedule. And I feel, actually, I take that back. 7 wins is their ceiling. I think they're ceiling 7 wins. I think reality, they're going to be more than the 5-win total. I absolutely love Bowers, though, under 1,500 yards receiving, just because historically, Geno Smith doesn't target the tight end, and the offense doesn't feature the tight end. So that right there makes sense to me. And if I have a top 5 pick in fantasy, I'm taking Gentry. That's my thought with the Raiders.
That's fair. And he probably will be a great fantasy back because, he's about everything they got besides Brock Bowers, really. And I'm not the biggest Geno Smith guy. I don't feel like he was a career backup for a reason. And the fact that the tail end of his career, he's kind of gotten some of the the positions and contracts he gotten is mind blowing to me off of that one decent year in Seattle when he finally did get to start after Russ left. So yeah, I just truly don't know where the Raiders are going. But like I said, this is a stacked division, so it truly probably won't bode well for them this year when you're looking at, I mean, 3 of the teams made the playoffs last year. I'm not saying that's going to repeat again this year, but I expect Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos all to be super competitive. Like I said, Pete Carroll, I know he'll keep it competitive, but I don't know how many games they're actually going to win at the end of the day. So
Next one, we are going to the Denver Broncos. 48-1 to win it all. 18-1 to win the AFC. 3-1 to win the AFC West. Over under of 9 to make the playoffs. Even money to miss the playoffs. -120. Lay it on me, my friend. Where do you think about the Denver Broncos?
So I get the hype, but I'm taking it with a little precaution because I get it. Bo Nix had an amazing rookie year. Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach. But again, that was back in 2009 with Drew Brees, a Hall of Famer. I think the sophomore slump is real. I'm not saying it's going to hit Bo Nix to the extent that we've seen it hit some other quarterbacks, but I think there needs to be some precaution there. And then while I do think they had an A-plus offseason with their free agent signings and their draft picks, I know they got Jahdae Barron, go opposite Pat Surtain. So, if he's what he was in college, they have 2 lockdown corners. That'll be great. But I've seen everybody harping on like, oh, they got 3 big signings: Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, and Evan Ingram. All 3 great players, don't get me wrong, but all 3 players have been injury riddled throughout their career. I think Hufanga, he's played 17 games in the last 2 seasons, so he's basically played 1 season in the last 2 seasons. Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Obviously, was rehabbing that, tried to come back at the end of last year, played 1 game, and then had to be sat out for the rest of the year because he ended up with calf problems in that same leg the next game. He's coming back now. And then Evan Ingram, who's a solid, option. I think it gives him a solid tight end piece. They did draft another guy as well, who Sean Payton kind of compared to the likes of Jimmy Graham, 6'7" guy that used to play basketball. I think they'll be good. RJ Harvey as well, J.K. Dobbins. They did what they needed to do. The holes they had from last year, they put the pieces around them. But again, last year they were a team that you didn't expect to be good because it was Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, and they didn't have much. So they kind of got the element of surprise on the team. Now this year, teams know what you're doing, and teams also have a year of film on Bo Nix. Sean Payton, I think, is a great coach, but I think he's oftentimes an overrated coach the way you talk about him. It's like they refer to Sean Payton as like he's one of the all-time greats. He's just a really good coach that happened to win 1 Super Bowl and had plenty of other years where his team shit the bed when it came down to it, if we're going to just completely be honest. You had Drew Brees. So I expect them to be good. The benefit for them is, even though they were good last year, they still finished in 3rd place, so they're going to get a 3rd place schedule. I don't think there's too many hard games on their schedule besides maybe in the division. And then a few games with the NFC East this year, who the AFC West matches up with. I think they'll be good. I just don't see necessarily like the hype of now they're the team that's just going to apparently take the crown for the AFC West.
So here's my thing with them. Okay. I have a video. Let me see if I can find this note for you. Let me see if I can find this note. It's in my little thing. Okay. What was their record against winning teams last year?
I don't know about winning teams, but I did see the stat where they should be due for some positive regression. I think they were 1-6 in 1-score games, so that should probably flip a little bit more to the middle, if not the other side. But I'm assuming they probably had a decent record versus winning teams last year.
If you take out your Chiefs last year, take that game out because that's the game they set everybody.
Yeah.
1-8.
Oh, 1-8. So it was
1-8.
So positive regression there too.
I mean, or maybe there just can't be good teams. And you mentioned they have, maybe that's the thing. And when they play 7 true road games, 1 in a neutral site, home games are favorable. very manageable. I mentioned it 1-8 against teams with a winning record, minus the Week 18 game against the Chiefs. And they only averaged 16 points a game in those. So to me, that kind of showed you that they were that team that overachieved, but against the top echelon, they really just weren't there yet. You know what I mean? When they had that tick up in weight class, they just weren't ready for the main event, if you will. That's kind of what kind of stood out to me. You mentioned Bo Nix. People acting like Bo Nix was good. I don't think he was that good, dude. 19th in total yards, 20th in passing. I don't think he wasn't good. When you look at the offense, they were 19th in total yards, 20th in passing, 16th in rushing, one of the worst offenses Peyton ever. Nix is 25 years old. He is what he is at this point. And when we look at the comps to the numbers he had, guess which quarterback who was a top 5 pick, who was a first round pick, who's a backup now, his numbers are comparable to. He plays for the Jaguars right now.
I was about to say Mac Jones.
Mac motherfucking Jones, dude. You mentioned one possession games. You know, they were 1-6. So it does kind of scream, hey, we could get some positive regression. But if you were that bad against winning teams, you know what I mean? Like, how is that going to play out? So I think their talent is kind of capped, if that makes sense. Offensive line, best pass blocking unit per PFF, 12th in run blocking, 3rd fewest sacks allowed despite dealing with injuries. Everyone is back. Bulls allowed just 2 sacks all year, 6 in total last 3. McGitchie, career high 74.5 pass block grade. Miranez, now a top gear guard, top 5, both pass and run blocking. Center Waltenberg had a breakout year, 2nd highest pass blocking grade. Easily a top 5 offensive line, and it's deep. Now, my bet on them is this. I took RJ Harvey 20-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Peyton loves him. Historically speaking, RB1. Okay. Now, when we look at the RB production for a Sean Payton backfield in his career, now this is not one back. This is like what the whole like crop averages. 358 carries, about 1,500 yards. Now, if he's getting 60 to 65% of the touches in Denver, he has the potential to be 1,000-yard running back. Now, I mentioned how good their offensive line is. If the Raiders' offensive line isn't up to snuff, he could lead the league in rushing this year. Or not lead the league in rushing because of the offensive line, or be the highest rookie rushing. And he got drafted in the 2nd round. I think Payton is going to lean on him a lot, especially if Bo Nix struggles. Dobbins, my fucking knees are better than J.K. Dobbins' knees. Estamine already had a shot and lost it. Harvey is going to get every opportunity in the world. From fantasy to a betting standpoint, I'm all in on RJ Harvey. Bottom line, defense got better, as you mentioned, through the draft. Stayed healthy most of last year. They could have some bad luck with injury regression because they avoided everything. I love Evan Ingram. I think he's a legit upgrade of what they had. Offensive line is elite. Run game will improve with Harvey. It all comes down to Bo Nix, and I'm not sold. Great offensive line, nice schedule. Peyton coaching helps, but to me, Nix is Mac Jones 2.0. So I'm just taking RJ Harvey to win it. And dude, I'm not gonna lie. Must have been a lot of Broncos fans watching because people are just dropping off watching right now. Must be a ton of Broncos people watching because people are just dropping like flies off of this stuff, man.
Poor ponies. It's okay.
Next, we are going to go to the Los Angeles. Sorry, man. I almost said San Diego Chargers. 30-1 to win the Super Bowl, 14-1 to win the AFC, plus 310 to win the West, over under 9 to make the playoffs, minus 120, to miss the playoffs, plus 120. So when just doing the odds, this is the one thing that stood out to me. Okay. To win the West, Denver is plus best odds are plus 300. Chargers best odds are plus 310. Okay. But to make the playoffs, Denver is even money to make the playoffs, minus 120 not to. Chargers are minus 122 to make the playoffs, plus 110 not to make the playoffs. So that thing kind of stood out to me, like when we're talking odds and everything, kind of a little weird thing that stood out to me.
So I'm assuming I'm willing to bet before you go. I know this has got to be your pick since what we've said with the other two teams for the AFC West. And I give Harbaugh his props. He's obviously a great coach at every single level. He's shown that at multiple programs at NFL organizations now. I know back in his 49ers days, the second year he was a coach there, that's when they made the Super Bowl. Obviously, you have Justin Herbert, who I still don't think is a top 5 quarterback, but people keep arguing that. I know it's the off season in the middle of the summer, so we keep having to have these discussions right now before actual football comes back. But I will say I'm gonna sprinkle on the plus 120 for the Chargers to not make the playoffs simply because I don't know if you've peeped their schedule. The start of their schedule is 3 divisional games right off the bat.
Yeah.
And they only get one of those at home. They got game 1 in Brazil versus my Chiefs. Then they go on the road to the Raiders. And I know we just talked about, not having much faith in the Raiders. But Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh go all the way back from Stanford, USC days, 49ers, Seahawks. Now they're back once again, Raiders, Chargers. Throughout their coaching careers, they're 6-6 versus each other. It's going to be a dogfight, and they're on the road in Las Vegas for that one. I expect them to win, but I would not be surprised if that game comes down to some type of last play, last second field goal, last drive type of deal. And it's a divisional game. Those games are always more tight-knit. And then they got the Broncos, who I keep hearing from a lot of people are the favorites to win the AFC West. And so my only issue is when we talk about the Chargers, the Broncos, this is their year to take over the AFC West. They're better than the Chiefs. I don't doubt that the Chiefs are going to get the Broncos and Chargers best shot. The problem is the Broncos and Chargers never give everybody else their best shot. It's only the Chiefs. You always see them drop games they're not supposed to drop. They'll split games versus each other. They'll lose games to the Raiders, who are at the bottom of the division. And then it'll come around to the end of the year, and it's like, we didn't win enough outside of the division or within the division to be this contender that everybody wants us to be and knock the throne or take the throne away from the Chiefs. I know they signed Najee Harris and then drafted Omarion Hampton, so Harbaugh got exactly what he wanted. He's about to ground and pound everybody to death this year, even more so than last year. And you signed Mekhi Becton in the offseason, who just came off his first healthy year, so hopefully you want to see him repeat that, but that's another thing with the Chargers. For whatever reason, I don't know if this could be further backed up by maybe they have a low training staff grade or what it is, but every year in LA, by week 3, all their best players are always on the injury report for something. And I've never understood. Like, that even goes back to their San Diego Chargers day. So something's in the water there with that. Khalil Mack, another year older. I get it. He's probably a future Hall of Famer, a beast of a pass rusher. But I don't expect him to have as great of an impact. They lost Poona Ford, who was excellent versus the run for them last year. Helped them be, the top 3 defense that they wore. And, I mean, besides bringing back Mike Williams, who I'm not saying Mike Williams doesn't have anything left in the tank, but what we seen from his stops in New York and Pittsburgh last year didn't really look good. Maybe being back in LA help him get back to his normal self. But I feel like they still don't really have any wide receiver help for Justin Herbert besides Ladd McConkey, who I think is a great receiver. I honestly wanted the Chiefs to take him last year before I knew Xavier Worthy was a potential for us, and we got him. But I like Ladd McConkey. I think he's really great. But other than that, you're about to run it back with Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, who still can't catch 3 years in. I just don't see this being the year they take over the throne. And like I said, if there's a potential they start the season 1-2 in the division or 0-3. And if they do that, they're immediately in the hole.
Now, we need to remember the key thing, when you started talking about the Brazil game. Eagles were quite adamant that it took them a couple weeks to recover. Now, when we look at the Eagles' schedule, after the Brazil game, they went and they played the Falcons. They lost the Falcons 22-21 at home last year, week 2, Monday Night Football. Then they went to New Orleans. They lost 15-12 in that game where they just barely snuck by. And then they lost 33-16 against the Bucs. And then they went to the bye. And the Eagles were quite adamant. They really didn't recover from that game in Brazil until after the bye. When you look at the Packers, they lost. Then they got the Colts. But that was Anthony Richardson outside. And they still only won 16-10. Colts were in a position to win the game. Then they played at Tennessee, and that game was close until what's-his-face, Will Levis became Will Levis. And then they lost to the Vikings. So, I mean, for them, it kind of took them, they didn't look solid until they played at the Rams, and that's kind of when they figured out, hey, you know what? We got to kind of lean on Josh Jacobs a little bit more. So I think this is a real key point when you talk about their schedule. I really think in both scenarios, and we'll talk about the Chiefs in a little bit, that week 2, I think that's when we got to look to fade both the Chargers and the Chiefs coming back from Brazil. I think that's kind of like the key thing in all this. When I look at the Chargers, 15th hardest schedule, right in the middle of the back. I talked earlier about winning teams. Okay. They were 3-6 last year against teams with a winning record, and 2 of those wins were against the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
So are they able to play up? That's something to remember. And then I looked when they played top 10 quarterbacks, and dude, I was very lenient on top 10. Very, very lenient on top 10. I had them at 1-5. You mentioned their defense. They lost Bosa, second best pass rusher. Ford, best interior lineman. And Fulton, best corner. So that's holes on 3 levels of the defense. Defense elite last year. Fewest points, 7th fewest yards, passing yards. Was carrying the offense. Offensive line could be top 10. Slater was dominant, 91.1 PFF grade. Joe Alt, 5th overall pick, started all 16, posted solid numbers. Zion Johnson moves to center. I kind of think that's a risky move. He struggled in pass pro. Boselman slides in at the left guard, and Mikal Bectram comes in at the right guard after a bounce back season. Under Greg Roman, 11th in points, but 20th in yards, 28 in pass attempts, 19th in passing yards, 11th in rushing attempts, but just 24th yards a carry. For this offense to work, that number needs to be better because with Roman, it's run the ball and play slow. Backfield is interesting to monitor for fantasy. Najee Harris, the likely goal-down back, proven inefficient in Denver. Hampton, more explosive option, but Harris, I think, is going to steal touchdowns. Because of the Harris presence, I can't buy into Hampton future bet to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I kind of feel like in fantasy, this is this backfield where you can kind of draft both guys. You mentioned Ladd McConkey. Now, first half of the season, 3.75 catches, 55 yards a game. Second half of the season, 5.8 catches, 83.2 yards per game. And when we look at the Chargers schedule from last season, just listen to these listen to this world beater of a schedule the second half of the season that they played. Tennessee, the Bengals, the Falcons, Tampa Bay, Vegas, New England. They just were passing the ball more because of the dip in competition. So his production came against softer defense. He's small. He left 3 games early. He's going to draw obviously more defensive attention. You mentioned the second year in a system, more film. Plus the offense, as I mentioned, it's going to play slower. It's not going to throw the ball as much. 28th in passing attempts. So my bet for the Chargers, are you ready for this one? It's disgusting. Ladd McConkey under 1,025.5 yards receiving. Herbert played well on very low volume, but who is he throwing the ball to? If the Chiefs fall off, Chargers could rise up. If the defense holds despite key losses, the run game improves significantly, and Herbert finds another consistent weapon. When I look at betting, I think you got to tread carefully, though. They improved the offensive line, but they have big question at running back, wide receiver, and on defense. Middle tier schedule, but haven't proven they can beat elite teams. There's upside, but I'm not rushing to bet any futures right now, except for Ladd McConkey under 1,025.5 yards.
So would you also, because I was thinking about this one, would you take, I got Herbert's listed at under 3,600.5 passing yards. But I also was looking, he's never went under that in his career besides 2 years ago when he got hurt and missed the last 5 games of the season. But other than that, he's crossed that every time. But like I said, the moves they made this year just leads to even more running from the looks of it. And you do have Greg Roman at OC and Harbaugh, a guy who loves to run the ball. You don't draft Hampton as well as sign Najee Harris and beef up the O-line. So I'm a little tempted to take that as well, because I'm like, who do you throw the ball to, and are you even throwing the ball? The only issue is if they're not able to get sustained leads in these games, they'll be forced to throw the ball, and then Herbert would go over by de facto at that point. But I like the McConkey under pick, but yeah, it's going to be tough for them throwing the ball. I don't think they address their wide receiver issues at all, and that's why I feel like this is like, seriously, I think this is like the 4th or 5th year in a row now where we have really gone into the offseason, and like a month before the season starts, all the sports media outlets are like, oh, the Chargers are taking the AFC West. And I'm like, can they just win it one time before we just say that? Like, I would just like to have them, because everybody else for the NFL, they got to prove it. And it's like you said, they're bad against winning teams. Every time there's a step up in competition, they don't seem to step up to it. And then I know it's only been 2 games, but the 2 worst games of Justin Herbert's career both come in the playoffs in the wild card round. So I just want them to prove it at this point before people just start giving them their flowers, even with Harbaugh being as good a coach as he is.
So you mentioned, I'm looking at Herbert right now. Year 1, 15 games, 4,300 yards, 289 a game. Year 2, 17 games, 295 yards a game, over 5,000. Year 3, in 17 games, 279, 4,700. Year 4, he only had 3,100, but 241 per game. Last year, 228 a game at 3,900. So, I mean, and he's at 30. The only thing is, I mean, at 3,600 divided by 17. I mean, that's 212 per game. That's pretty low, dude. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that, like, when you look at it like that, that's pretty low value. And I mean, when we look at Lamar, I mean, because that's the only thing we can really go on. I mean, granted, it's kind of hard comparing the two. But when we look at Lamar, Roman was the OC there. When was he the OC there? From 19 to 2022. So Lamar, 31, 27, 28, and 2,200 but he never played a full season though.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know, but that's kind of the thing. Like we kind of have to. I don't know. If the number was a little higher, I would definitely like the bet though. You know what I mean? Like I like your head because I think in fantasy, unless you're in a 2 quarterback system, you cannot draft them, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. Next, dude. This is your time, man. I'm talking to Kansas City Chiefs. For those who don't know, Bryce is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. 8-1 to win the Super Bowl, 4-1 to win the AFC, -110 to win the AFC West, over under 11.5, -450 to make the playoffs, +310 to miss the playoffs. Bryce, talk to me about your Kansas City Chiefs.
It's the same old, same old. I won't sit up here and lie to you. Like, I think it would be very hard to go to a 4th Super Bowl in a row. I think the only team to ever do that was Buffalo, but funny enough, they lost every single Super Bowl when they did that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to take history into account, and then who are you dealing with? We've never seen this team, their season end before the AFC Championship game in overtime. That's the worst they've done in the last 7 years with Mahomes at the helm at QB. 7 for 7. Like I always say, if Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce are healthy, you got Andy Reid, this team is going to do what they need to do to win football games. And we're kind of at that point now where in the Patriots dynasty where it's like you can't keep everybody. The salary cap is just too inhibiting. You just got to let, some of your best players go and hope and trust that you did the correct scouting and rebuild in the draft. So this year, I know we had some key losses. We lost Deshaun Wharton, who was great for us on the D line, backing up Chris Jones, and we lost Justin Reed back at safety. But I think we're about to see a breakout year for Jaden Hicks. Kind of came on the scene a little bit late last year. Spags, he started getting more Spags trust, got in the game a little bit more. I think he finished the year with 3 interceptions from the backup spot. And then we drafted 2 interior defensive linemen as well as signed one in the offseason with free agency, kind of helped bolster there. Charles Omenihu, who a lot of people kind of forgotten about, I think. He's got a full offseason of just straight work. Last year, he was rehabbing from the ACL and then didn't play much. I think he'll be really good. And then it really just all hinges on, like, the Chiefs will figure it out at the end of the day. But we have to have hit on Josh Simmons this year. If he's healthy and he's going to be our left tackle, that can't be a miss. Like, if we're supposed to continue this run of dominance, we need to shore up the left tackle. I don't know if you know this, but it's a funny stat that doesn't get mentioned a lot when, they say, like, Mahomes is lucky and all this stuff. In all 5 of our Super Bowls, we've had a different left tackle starting for every single one.
Yeah.
It's been a rotating door at that spot his whole career. Something Veach, I give him his credit. He's a great GM, but that is the one spot he has not been able to nail down. So all reports say Simmons looks healthy, should be good to go, and he looks like a beast. But they say he has the highest upside of the offensive lineman drafted this year. So if we could hit on that, that will work wonders. I'm a little iffy on Suma Taia. He was supposed to be our left tackle last year. That was abysmal. Now he's apparently going to step in the left guard, replace Joe Tooney, who was another big loss.
Mm-hmm.
But we look to have Rashee Rice healthy this year. As far as his criminal stuff goes, I don't think the case is coming up, so I don't see a suspension coming. I think the case is supposed to go to court at the end of January. So, I mean, that would suck if he all of a sudden end up suspended for like a playoff run or something. But he looks good to go from what reports I'm hearing out of camp. Worthy, Hollywood, healthy, and then drafted a guy named Jalen Royals. I don't think he's going to be too much of a weapon on offense in Andy Reid's system. But healthy Chiefs offensive weapons, I think Mahomes is pissed off. I think we'll see that this year. I'm going to buy in at the lowest spot possible. They got him over 27.5 passing touchdowns. A mark he hasn't hit in 2 years, but that obviously 2 years ago we had the most drops in the league. Could have hit that. I can Tony and MVS dropped enough touchdowns themselves to clear that mark. And then last year, our receiver crew was completely banged up throughout the year, and we were kind of relying on Xavier Worthy, rookie wide receiver, and old Travis Kelce, who the defense could focus on. Think with all his weapons back, and if they stay healthy, he's clearing that mark easy, over 27.5. I'm going to sprinkle on Mahomes MVP plus 600. I don't think he'll get it, but I feel it's worth the sprinkle because I think the Chiefs are about to – we're not going to go 15-2 again, but I think we're going to go at least 12-5 or 13-4. Mahomes throws for about 4,300 yards, 35-plus touchdowns. Again, this year looks more like his normal self, pushing the ball down the field. And again, we'll look back at this. We'll get to the end of the season, and I think all the media will be like, foolish us. We're not going to doubt the Chiefs any longer. We're not going to say the Chargers are going to win the AFC West, the Broncos, all over contenders. We're not going to push them anymore. We'll do whatever we do in the playoffs, losing the AFC Championship, losing the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, one of those three. And then we'll come right back to this spot next June and July. And they'll be like, well, no, this year, this is the year. The Chargers are going to win it. The Broncos, they done this, and that. Sean Payton, they're going to win it. There'll probably even be some people saying the Raiders for whatever moves they make coming out of this year. Oh, the Raiders are poised to make that leap. And I'm like, we're watching the legend in the making. I know Tom Brady fans, oh, he's not better than Tom. Okay, I can concede that right now at this point in his career, he's not better than Tom. But he's the best guy of this generation, and he's literally withheld every single quarterback they want to keep throwing over him from getting the Super Bowl besides Joe Burrow. But then, as I like to say on our podcast all the time, is like, okay, if you're going to beat Mahomes to get there, you better capitalize when you get the opportunity. Burrow didn't do that. Now he's missed the playoffs the last 2 years. And with his front office, he still doesn't have a defense. Lamar, I love Lamar. I would love to see him win one day. He gets to the playoff, he nuts up every time. Josh Allen, I get it. People are like, oh, McDermott, the defense lets him down. The last 2 years, Josh Allen has had the ball in his hands with a chance to get the Chiefs out of the playoff. He's failed to get points both times. Any other top QB, when we're saying they're legends, you got to come out with one of those situations. 21, yeah, that wasn't his fault. Defense gave up 13 seconds. These last 2 years, there's no excuse. And this year, really, because he got his MVP, and, Bills fans love hyping up, oh, Josh Allen. I call him Mr. All-Purpose Man because it's always all-purpose touchdown, all-purpose yards. They don't ever want to just talk about quarterback stuff because he doesn't rank in the top when it comes to just quarterback stats. But then you throw in his running back stats. It's like, oh, he's the best. Mahomes outplayed him in the running game as well in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And everybody was ready to crown him if he would have won that one. So I'm just like, at this point, I'm not saying we're going to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to be completely dominant again. But it's just like, someone prove it, please. Because it's the Chargers, it's the Broncos, it's the Bills, it's the Ravens, it's the Bengals. Only one team can make it out of the AFC. Yeah. So if it's not the Chiefs, which one of them is going to be? And then the other ones, they're right back in the same boat as before. Like, you once again failed to live up to the moment. But for the last 7 years, we know who's going to live up to the moment throughout the course of the season and the AFC playoffs. It's the Chiefs. And until someone knocks them off that mantle and we see it, I'm not ready to move off of it. I think we'll still take the division. The way I have it landing out, I got us getting first with 12 or 13 wins. The Chargers will get in with 11 or 10, and I don't think we're going to be the division that gets 3 years again in this team. I expect kind of a downfall of the Broncos. I think they'll finish around 9-8 maybe. So only Chiefs, Chargers make it into the playoffs. But then once we get to the playoffs, do I have any faith in Justin Herbert? I don't. And until he proves otherwise, that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah. Do I have any faith with Lamar Jackson? I don't, as bad as I want to. Do I have any faith with Josh Allen? In the wild card round, I do. Once we get to the divisional, unless he's playing Lamar, he's not good there. And once he gets to the AFC Championship game, both times, versus the Chiefs, who would you most likely be playing once you get there? It's probably the Chiefs. Yeah. And I've seen him lose at home and on the road. So it's not like, oh, he just needs to get the game in Buffalo. We saw that 2 years ago. We went to Buffalo. We went to Baltimore, got Lamar. Like, I just don't get it. I just laugh now when these conversations come up. When we're in July, and it's like we just got a month left till football, so we just have to talk about something. Sports media is kind of dead, but it's like, man, unless we're truly arguing about Tom Brady, okay, Tom Brady, yeah, he's better, he's the GOAT. Okay, any other quarterback, how can they compare to Mahomes? And Nick Wright made a great point. I heard yesterday. He was like, it gets irritating and frustrating because it's like Mahomes is compared to his best version of himself, which he came in the league 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. Next year, Super Bowl MVP. Like that's what Mahomes gets compared to, his best self. All these other quarterbacks get compared to Mahomes' worst self, but even at his worst self, he's still better than all these quarterbacks in the moments that matter, and that's the playoffs. The last 2 years, he's knocked out Burrow, Lamar, Allen twice, Tua, Lawrence, Stroud, all the young QBs that were supposed to be up next. No one is taking that throne from him, and I don't expect that to necessarily be any different this year. Yes, Nick Wright is a Casey homer, but he actually has some good level-headed takes on some things. That one was one of them. It's like in the same breath, Mahomes just only gets compared to Brady or himself, really. But then the same breath is like, oh, these other guys are better. It's like, okay, well, if these other guys are better, so why don't we talk about these guys compared to Brady? Oh, we don't because they're not better than Mahomes. Okay, he's had 2 down years by his standards. But when you look at the throwing numbers, again, he's right there with all of the other QBs. Joe Burrow had his first great year this year. And what did that result in? Missing the playoffs once again.
Yeah.
And he has no accolades to his name besides a comeback player of the year. Lamar Jackson's got 2 MVPs, but like we said, he can't perform in the playoffs for whatever reason. Josh Allen just got his first, and he had a great season. I give it to him. But Patrick Mahomes is his boogeyman. If Tom Brady is better than Mahomes because he's 2-0 in the playoffs against him in the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game, why is Josh Allen better than Patrick Mahomes and he's 0-4 in the AFC Championship game?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. And that's where I'm just like, can we just get to football season so we can get it rolling? And then all this stuff can kind of get put to bed and we can settle it all on the field. And if someone proves me otherwise, then
couple months, dude. Couple months.
We get to that point.
Chiefs, 27th hardest schedule. Gonna be a hard schedule for them. They had 15 wins. Their Pythagorean win total last year was 9.86. That's a 5.14 over performance. Biggest margin in the league. Historically speaking, teams that overperform their Pythagorean win total by 2 wins or more hit their win total only 32% of the time. Super Bowl losers, just 33% to the over the following season. Bryce, what were your boys last year in one possession games?
Well, no, 11-0, and we're on a 17-game winning streak as of right now headed into the season.
Positive regression, dude. That screams positive regression to me. Screams. Offensive line, you mentioned it, kind of in flux. Josh Simmons tore his ACL midseason in college. Expected to start at left tackle. Moore is coming in from the 49ers, going to be a starter, limited starting experience, but solid metrics. Last year's second-round pick, whose name I can't even pronounce, first name Keensley. He's going to move from left guard, move to left guard, struggled as tackle as a rookie. Tooney gone, leaves a hole on the left side. Humphreys and Trey Smith still anchors, but the left side has some major questions. Last year, only 29 plays of 25 yards or plus near the bottom of the league. Mahomes 30th in deep ball attempts. Will they finally stretch the field? Kelsey, another year older, and the vertical threats are unproven. Running back room is shaky. Last year was Andy Reid's lowest rushing output ever. Pacheco struggled after the injury. Hunt joined too late to really matter. And look, they brought in Elijah Mitchell from the 49ers, who I like, but he doesn't fit the system at all. Receiver room, Rashid Rice was a breakout star. I am still pissed. I would have not been knocked out of the guillotine league last year if he didn't get hurt. I'm still upset about that. But how is he going to be coming back from the injury? And you mentioned it, his legal issues. Xavier Worthy struggled early, came on late. Which version are we going to see from him? If Rice isn't right, which is a serious question, what is the wide receiver room going to look like? I think defensive regression is coming. And you know what? You may argue with me this year. I feel the last 2 years has been a defensive-led team. Chris Jones, another year older. I think the pass rush is going to take a step back. I don't trust McDuffie as our number one corner. The young safeties. Bottom line, Mahomes has never lost in the first or second round of the playoffs. But I think this might be the year the streak ends. They have played over 100 games the last 5 seasons, more than any team. Is fatigue going to start to set in, especially with his defense being a year older? Offense has depth questions. Schedule tightens up. Look, dude, we've known each other for 2 years, man. And I fucking love you to death, dude. You're my fucking boy, man. I will go to war for you every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But I'm betting the Kansas City Chiefs plus 310 to miss the playoffs and under 11.5 wins.
I'm going to save this clip and we'll come back to it probably like mid-November when
When
we're basically close to the playoffs. Well,
in week 12 when their win total hits when they go 12-0. But if it makes you feel any better, I bet the Lions plus 200 not to beat the playoffs too.
Okay.
So,
I guess, do you see, because I agree with you, like some of the regression stuff, like the winning the one-score games, the offense being as bad as well. Do you see us, because like you said, we were, 29th, right? In 25 plays?
27th at hardest schedule.
Yeah. But the 25 plus yard plays, like we were like bottom of the league in that. Mahomes is like 30th.
Yeah.
Do you see any positive regression there? Because I feel like even if we can get back to like just top 15 and that's good. I think Rice will be back healthy, and I think the problem was last year, Rice was fully ready to step into that kind of Travis Kelce role for Mahomes, where that's kind of like his zone beater go-to guy in the middle. And then once he goes out, and we already started the season without Hollywood, who got hurt in preseason, who was going to be a deep threat, Xavier Worthy is now thrust into starting role, who's a rookie. Rookie wide receivers really aren't supposed to be in the Andy Reid system or have, significant playing time, but he's obviously thrust in there. So that's why I think you saw the struggles early. But you add a full offseason with all of them healthy. Hopefully they stay healthy to start the season and throughout. I think that opens up the middle once again for Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he's about to be the prime Travis Kelce, but he'll look much better than he did last year, where he looked really sluggish and the defense could truly focus on him. And then, like I said, we open up the pass game. I think that will help the run game. I think that's been the main reason the run game was so horrible last year, because we were literally no threat to throw the ball down the field whatsoever because we couldn't. Once that opens back up, boxes kind of lighten up a bit. We can run the ball a little bit more. I think it'll all be good. Like I said, I'm not expecting us to be 15-2 or anything. I was going through our schedule. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to lose to the Bills in the regular season, as we always do. We're probably, and God forbid, I hope it's Richardson starting, but we're going to lose to the Colts because for whatever reason, we always suck versus the Colts in the regular season. And that might be versus Daniel Jones, which will be even worse. When that game happens and we lose, just message me, because the house will be on fire for all of me. Like, oh my God, the Chiefs are done. They lost to Daniel Jones. And I bet we lose one other game we have no business losing, probably someone like the Titans or something, to a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward.
It's funny because I go through and I make little W's and L's next to every game. I have them losing to the Colts.
Yeah, every year we play them in the regular season. It just goes like that. I don't think Mahomes has beat the Colts in the regular season his whole career. But his first playoff game was versus the Colts, and that game was Andrew Luck's last game, and we retired him. But in the regular season, I don't know what it is. It's like a curse.
Now, we talked about their schedule. Now, just hear me out. Hear me out, my friend. They play Friday night in Brazil. could lose that game. Could lose that game.
Could.
The following week, they play the Eagles. And we talked about earlier how teams, after coming back from playing in Brazil, takes a little time. What is your panic level if they're 0-2 in week 3 going to the Giants?
None. I get the Super Bowl hangover, and I forgot the stat you gave out. Like 32% of teams after losing the Super Bowl fail to reach their win total the following year. We're part of that 32% because when we got smacked by the Bucks, we came out that next year and we started off slow. I think we were 1-2, 2-3 to start the year, and that was when the talks. Oh, the Bucks broke Mahomes and the league figured him out. Then they went on a run, went back to the AFC title game, where Mahomes played his worst half of football probably in his career before last year's Super Bowl, and we choked to the Bengals. But I won't be panicked. Everybody else will be like, "Oh, this is the end of the Chiefs dynasty." They'll get it together. I expect a little bit of struggles because we do have to gel up that offensive line that'll be new entirely on the left side. But a key stat, like I expect the game to be close because they always are with the Chargers. But and since Andy Reid has been a coach with the Chiefs, this is even pre-Mahomes. Every game we played outside of the U.S., he's undefeated.
Okay.
We played in Mexico. We played in London. Played in Germany, I believe. And then
How many of those are against the Jags, though?
none. We played the
Jags.
funny. You got to remember this one. It was, I think, 2013. We played you guys, and I want to say London, and we throttled you. This was Alex Smith days. And then
Alex Smith days, the good days.
the good days.
I mean, like, my note for them, because this is how I have their schedule playing out, okay? I have them losing to the Chargers, losing to the Eagles, beating the Giants, losing to the Ravens. If they're 1-3, oh my God, the dynasty is over. You know how the narrative is going to be in the media. The dynasty is over. I feel right there, after week 4, that's the time to buy Chiefs futures.
I was going to say, yeah, bet the Chiefs.
That's going to be because that's going to be the time to bet them.
Oh yeah.
Because like for me, I mean, I think 10 wins this division. I mean, I know I haven't really picked a winner, but I feel first one to 10 wins it because I don't think the Chargers are as good as people think. I don't think the Broncos are as good as people think, and I don't think the Chiefs are as good as people think. So I really feel like 10 wins this division. So that's kind of where my head is with it. And then when you kind of look at their schedule, I mean, after Baltimore, they go to Monday Night Football. They play the Jags. Then they have a short week against the Lions. Then they play the Raiders. Both of those are at home. Then they play the Commanders at home. Then you mentioned they go to the Bills. Then they have a bye. Off the bye, they play Denver. Then they play Colts at home. Thanksgiving Day at Dallas.
I'll be at that one.
Okay. And then they play Houston and the Chargers at home. Play at Tennessee, which I have them losing. That's kind of funny. You mentioned that before. Then they have a Christmas Day. They play at Denver. Oh, sorry, home against Denver, and then a flex game against the Raiders. So, I mean, another thing with them is they have a lot of like Thursday games, primetime games. Those mess with a player's psyche, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing. So I'm trying. It didn't. Oh, stinks, dude. So I asked the
Twitter AI.
The Twitter AI to say, my question was, how does the team, after losing the Super Bowl, do week 1 the following season? I got was in 2021, the Giants lost 20-31 to Denver. The next 20, it just says not retrieved. And then said the 49ers won against the Jets last year.
Yeah,
So
the one thing AI is not good at is sports, I've learned.
thank you, AI, for doing absolutely effing nothing. I immensely appreciate it, AI.
But I mean, we can last year 49ers did win versus the Jets.
Which is brutal. I had that game, and
And
it was awful, dude. It was completely awful. Completely awful. So basically my bets are Chiefs not to make the playoffs plus 310, Chiefs under 11 and a half, Chargers Lad McConkey under 10 1,025 and a half yards receiving, RJ Harvey rookie of the year 20-1, and for the Raiders, Brock Bowers under 1,000.5 yards receiving. What were yours, my friend?
I got Chargers plus 120 to miss the playoffs. I got Brock Bowers under 4.5 receiving touchdowns. I got Mahomes over 27.5 passing touchdowns and a sprinkle on Mahomes MVP.
Okay, I respect it. I think week 4 is when I'll get involved, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bryce, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule, talking a little NFL. When you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and when your guys' podcast and everything will start back up.
Yes, you can follow us at the under my screen at the bottom left. I need a sports pod, INISPOD. We are currently on break right now. We always take a little month break in this month of July, but as soon as August kicks back up, expect a bunch of new episodes to roll out. We'll have all the divisional previews. Hope to have you on for the NFC North so we can talk about your Lions and company. And then as well as the top positions headed into the year for fantasy and just who we think skill-wise. Those are always fun conversations that end up in arguments that last way longer than they should. But once we get into the season, we'll be doing live shows every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, recapping the previous week, giving you our best bets for the following week. So definitely tune in, follow us on Twitter. We post everything there. But if you are looking at the channel right now, we did our final recap for the NBA Finals. We let our boy Chris do his victory lap with OKC. Finally got the championship, and so now we're kind of just chilling. Everybody's kind of taking their vacations during the summer, working, just kind of like I said, just patiently waiting as we see all these stupid takes fly across sports media until we get some real football back. But definitely missing it. Can't wait to get back started.
I love sports media takes, dude. I live for sports media takes. Real quick, one question before I let you go. Where is it? Here we go. I know we're talking football, but what do you think of KD to the Rockets?
I love it. I don't think this makes us like a championship team next year. Like I don't think the Rockets are headed to the NBA Finals. I did feel really good when the trade happened. But then the moves Denver just made, I honestly have Denver as the top dog in the West headed into next year if OKC isn't to repeat. But I like where this takes us. If Reed Shepherd pans out like we think he can, I think the Rockets will be competitive. I'm just praying and hoping that Ime will let the offense run through Şengün. I feel like the best route forward or the most optimal Rockets team has Şengün as its focal point, and then you give him a shooter like KD that can get a bucket anytime, a guy we can go to in the clutch when we need an ISO scorer, and we go from there. I think we'll be really competitive. Last year, obviously, we finished second place in the West, 50 wins. Be very tough to build on that, but at the same time, a lot of these young West teams the last couple years, OKC was one of them. They got to 50 wins. People were like, oh, well, can they redo it? And then this year they got 68. I'm not saying the Rockets are about to win 68 games, but I expect them to be very competitive and top 3 in the West again next year, and I'm excited. I just want to see. It's been so long since I've seen a playoff series win in Houston. As pitiful as that sounds, that's my goal for next year. Can these young guys get a playoff series win under the belt, and then they'll potentially probably be playing like a OKC or Denver in the second round? We can make that competitive, take it to 6 or 7 games. I'm happy there, and anything after that is just icing on the cake. But 2 years from now, second year, yeah, that's where it's championship or bust at that point, because then this move is a failure. But as of next year, I'm still tempered on expectations, but I love the move.
So I just asked ChatGPT how the Rockets will do next year. Despite being 37, Durant will average 25 plus, lead the Rockets to the Western Conference final appearance before losing to the Thunder.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Dude, that's the one thing I love about the ChatGPT. You can ask it questions, and sometimes it'll come up with stuff. Like, I asked for some bold takes. Okay. I go, give me a couple bold takes. Are you ready?
Yep.
Their bold take: Luka Doncic will win MVP. That's their bold. That's their big bold take. And this,
I actually was. I was thinking about. I haven't even seen any odds, but just hearing some of the talk after the season kind of just wrapped up. I've honestly been thinking about sprinkling on Luka. Felt like if there's any year to win MVP for him, it would be a great year this year. Just obviously with everything happening last year the way it did, if he bounced back, makes LA competitive. I could see it, but I don't know if it's gonna happen.
this is how they have the East finishing: Cleveland, Boston, Knicks, Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, Magic, and the Hawks. That's how they have it. Like,
They must not know about Tatum's injury.
like, oh, you love it. You love it. Bryce, appreciate you. I'm gonna let you get going. We could mess around in this AI all day, but I'm gonna let you go. And I appreciate it. Make sure to give this man a follow. We're gonna be back next week talking a little NFC South with my boy XFL Jim. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to follow this man. Best of luck in your bets. We'll talk later, my friend.
See you later.